G'day gang, it's Ed and Simo back again to talk to you about some of our most treasured business books. Some of the business books that we got the most inspiration from and think that they will be very beneficial for you guys to try too.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be huge debates over what should be included in the list of the best business books ever. You really do need to be a reader if you're a leader. It will give you so much insight and give you so much ability to go and tackle anything that's thrown at you in business. And we're just looking through about 11 books or so, the last video and this one, that will really help your business flourish.
Yeah. So, the next one, you claim is the first business book you read.
It is. It's the first serious business book I've read. Well, I say that, but it is. I read a couple things like When Giants Learn to Dance, Charles Handy's of this world there, a few of his books, and I was in sort of corporate land. And they're really cool books, but they're more on a macro level. Something that was like a business book that I could take and use on a small or medium enterprise, really get some quick results, or get something from that book and learn to apply it. The first book I read like that was Delivering Happiness by Tony Hsieh.
Yeah.
He's sadly no longer with us as well, unfortunately. No. God rest his soul. But Tony Hsieh is a very interesting character. He set up a shoe company out in America. He did the classic business mistake, I'm going to call it. Poured all his money into his business and then had no money left for marketing. So, and how many times do we come across business owners that do that? So he had to build up his shoe business with no marketing budget. So what he did was he used an element, I don't want to tell you what he did almost, but he used one element of his business that was already being done operationally as his marketing ploy. So he had to find no extra money, he just had to labour on that point, and he started a shoe company. I think it was from the back of a 40-foot trailer to begin with, and he built it, and then by the time he'd finished, in a relatively short space of time, he sold it to some really small outfit called Amazon.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, I think he worked with some guy, Jeff. But yeah, so Tony Hsieh was working with Jeff Bezos for a while.
Wow.
Jeff Bezos bought his company relatively quickly, in just a few years. And in the book, it tells you a bit about Tony's life, how he stumbled into all this stuff, a little bit of a clue on how he set up his company with no marketing budget. I think that really, it's like an applause, a little nod to what can be achieved with an entrepreneurial mindset. How to grow a big business from humble beginnings. Yeah, great book.
The next one, 0 to 1, Peter Thiel.
Yes, the German-American.
Right.
I think he's born in Frankfurt, actually. Because I'm interested in Peter Thiel. I've never met him. If you're watching, Peter, I'd love to meet you. I'll even buy you the drinks. But he's just a very interesting character. So Peter Thiel is the guy behind... Do you know much about this guy?
No, I haven't read this one.
Do you know the guy Peter Thiel? Peter Thiel's the guy that helped set up... something heavily involved in PayPal, and he was involved in the buyout by eBay when they bought PayPal.
All right.
And that elevated him from doing a really blooming good job to doing a really blooming good job with lots of money. And then Peter has this uncanny knack to go and have a look at bits and pieces and work out where they're heading to make his investment decisions. So he went from the sale of PayPal to eBay with his newfound wealth. He then dropped $500,000 into some small little company called Facebook.
Oh, wow.
And then after he put his $500,000 in, almost overnight, I think it was relatively quickly, it was then valued at 4.9 mil. And it used to be a lot of money then. And he's now gone on, and I think he's a venture capitalist now. So he's a multi-millionaire, probably billionaire, could quite easily be. He's a venture capitalist that runs around and spots all these opportunities. 0 to 1 explains his strategy. It's really good to have an investment strategy or a buying strategy in business. 0 to 1 is very interesting because it's the difference between growth and scale on one respect. But it's like scale plus.
Right.
So growth is, I'm just trying to think of a good example. Let's say you make widgets. Let's say you make glasses, right? And you have a process that makes one pair of glasses. And then you invent something, and all of a sudden you can make 100 pairs of glasses, and they're all selling. That's growth, right? Now, I'm going to put words into Peter's mouth, even though I've never met him. He probably wouldn't invest. What he's looking for is new. And most businesses just copy, recreate, and add 1 plus a percentage on. Whereas he's talking about 0 to 1 is, it doesn't exist. And we're going to create it, and all of a sudden it's going to take off. So it talks about real breakthrough products and how then they become head of their market and how they can go and lead to monopolies. So it's all about massive growth. Now, for a go-kart track owner, you know, you should be looking at the go-kart track and making sure there is growth, probably trying some of the stuff we've talked about in other videos, but there's probably something waiting to go from 0 to 1. Hello, Jordan. But this is why Jordan
It's the
interests me.
first thing that I just, as soon as you've said that, I've gone, and you've just go, Jordan.
Yes. So we're having an event in June in Michigan, and we're over at Jordan's track, and he's doing something that you need to have a look at if you're a go-kart track owner.
Absolutely.
And this will get you from 0 to 1. So there's something hitting the market that you've got to find out about, and we're going to talk about that in Michigan in June. So wherever you are in the world, drop what you're doing, end of June, get yourselves to Michigan. That will tick a big box in terms of the Peter Thiel book.
I think so.
Because it'll be like, wow, massive 0 to 1 opportunity within the go-karting industry. And the book will explain how and why that's a really smart move for you.
Yeah. Next one. No BS, Ruthless Management of People and Profits by Dan Kennedy.
Yeah, the title just rolls off the tongue.
Well, don't all these books start with the no BS?
Yeah, so Dan Kennedy's a really interesting marketer out in America. He's no BS range of books, so he's a really clever switched on marketer, and his books are fantastic. Not everybody's a fan of them, are they, Simon?
No. I haven't read this one, but I was put on to Dan Kennedy.
Yeah.
And I was probably told to read the wrong book.
Okay.
Because I can't remember the title of the book, but I didn't finish it.
No,
and I think it's because it was B to C rather than B to B. But I'm just reading it going, oh, that doesn't apply to me. Oh, that doesn't apply to me. You know, to get into a book, I need to look at it and
how
go,
it relates.
hey, wow, that's cool. I could do that. Or, oh, that's useful information to have. But when you're sort of reading and not getting any inspiration, it's...
Yeah, I mean, if you've not come across Dan Kennedy before and you're now sitting there looking at this video going, how come Simo doesn't remember the title of the other book? It's because Dan Kennedy has done probably 50, 60 books.
Yeah.
You could fill your bookshelf with Dan Kennedy books, and that'd be a smart move, by the way. But he's got a whole range of no BS books. But the one you really want, I'd suggest you get into is Ruthless Management of People and Profits. And it just really gets under the skin of business and tackles the two things that business owners tend to struggle most with. One, management, particularly management of people. And so many lose sight of profit. So many people are lost in that world of revenue and growth, but not actually working out whether it's profitable growth or what they're spending their time on. Is that the most profitable bit of what we're doing? Dan Kennedy will unlock a lot of this. And if you get to have a look at some of his marketing stuff he's done, it's just fascinating in the way he writes copy and all the rest of it. A really interesting character. Well worth spending some time looking at his bits and pieces of what he's been up to and put some of that.
Although I never got off on the book, I do believe I've been influenced by the man. Not necessarily by his books.
Yeah, because I've probably been repeating stuff out of his books to you for 5 years.
Yeah, you probably have. you know, and I know I've had that influence, but I just don't know.
Well, he's really good. I tell you, Dan Kennedy's really good. We used to get loads of graduates come to a company that I work at, and they're all marketing degree, which is cool. I mean, it really is. But the first thing we have to do is beat the marketing degree out while we go and show them how to actually go and physically get business through the door. And a lot of the ways you can do that are just get into the Dan Kennedy stuff. It's a great starting point, and you can build on it from there. So we used to get them to read a lot of Dan Kennedy, or we used to just force feed them the information because we've got to get this stuff working. And I know you got a degree, but now we're going to make some return on investment.
No BS grassroots marketing.
Is that what you had a read of?
No.
Interesting. I think
it was recommended to me by someone who is in the B2C. And you know, there was a lot of B2C stuff in it, so it was relevant for my market. So that is probably why I feel that way. Maybe I should give him another go.
Well, maybe. Pick your book carefully. There's one. It's not an easy read, one of his, but he talks about how to marketing to the wealthy. And I can't quite remember the exact title, but if you Google marketing to the wealthy, Dan Kennedy, it will pop up. It's quite a heavy read, but it's really good at getting your head into how the wealthy think. and therefore how to go and target stuff that they might be interested in to generate additional profit from stuff you're probably doing already in your business.
Yeah, cool. Right, the next one, one of my favourites.
Ooh.
You read this one?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. This is a brilliant one. This is They Ask, You Answer by Marcus Sheridan. Now, I've seen this guy live. If you ever get the opportunity to see this guy live, the pool guy, I encourage you, bite their fucking arm off.
He's a really good presenter, isn't he?
He's a brilliant presenter.
Yeah, great on the stage.
He is magnificent.
Now, you call him the pool guy. They don't know who he is yet, potentially. Why do you call him the pool guy?
So this guy, he started off life, he was a partner in a pool company. They made fiberglass pools. They were going through a really tough time. And they were on the brink of collapse, I think. And he came back and he got into content marketing. Basically what he did was all the questions his customers were asking, he would write articles on them. You know, he'd go, he'd slog away and try and sell pools by day, come home and at night write these articles every night. And all of a sudden, and he's writing these articles that the customer was Googling for. It'd be something like fiberglass pools versus concrete pools, right? Which is better? You'd search on that, and up would come his article first. And he'd write an article on the pros and cons of each, and it'd be unbiased, things like this. And he was never afraid to talk about price. And it is just a brilliant concept. But he propelled that pool business to be very, very, very successful. And, they were top search ranked for all sorts of things.
I think they're still going, aren't they?
They're still going. He's gone off, and on the back of this, created his own marketing consulting company. But this is a brilliant read. I was put onto it. As soon as I heard about it, I just had to go out and buy it. And he talks, and he talks about the big five. And he gives you an outline of the sort of stuff you should be writing. And, you will start to see some of this stuff come up on our blog, on the website.
And I think in this day and age, it has been for a long while, but you've just got to keep stuff getting out there to your audience, and how do you maintain that? It's not easily done, it's simple to do that. It's very simple, but what on earth do you write about? He just takes the questions they ask, and then he goes and answers them. Keys in the title.
If you've ever been customer facing, you already know the questions they ask.
The same old that you get day in, day out.
So I'll be ringing up and going, how old do I have to be to ride your go-karts?
That's right. How long does it take to go to a session on your kart track? Can I turn up on the day and get into a go-kart? What's the largest group size that you've got? I can almost guess some of the questions you get asked all day long. And you could just write about that, or even write about why a group of 20 is the most optimal number to go and race around a go-kart track. I don't know how many you get on your track. I mean, if I make it so that people are thinking, I want to get 20 people down the go-kart track, that's going to be a great day. You can start to use that to shape your world.
The next one.
Here we go.
The hardest read on the list, I'd say.
I'm going to agree with you.
Right. Influence the Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. Now, I haven't read this one. He's got another book called Persuasion, isn't it?
It's something like that. He writes very...
I've read one of them. I can't remember which one. And again, I'm only halfway through. Because it's a bloody tough read. The book's thick. It's got really small print.
It has. It's
and
there's no real space around. Robert, you need to have a chat with your publisher, my friend.
But the content's pretty intense too.
It is.
But it is cool.
I've I've read Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion, and it's one of those books where I read it and then I've had to go back and read over as I'm going through just to make sure I've understood what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
It's a tough read, but it was definitely worth the effort. Life is all about persuading people to do stuff.
Yeah.
So whether that's make a sale or to come and work for you or to stay with you, I mean, he looks at the psychology of what's really going on, and as a result, you just certainly if you're leading a business, it will really give you an insight to potentially ways to go and like make it a lot more easier for you. I'm not going to pull any punches. It's a bloody tough read.
Yeah.
It really is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Robert, have a chat with your publisher, my friend. Get a few diagrams in there. Spread it out. I don't mind if it's like a volumetric book size. I'll still buy your books. Help us, my friend.
I mean, the content's great. The content really is great.
Really is top notch.
But it's just difficult.
It is. Yeah, we've got to tell you. We're going to be honest with you. It is a difficult read. But hey, read it and then come and hang out with us in Michigan in June, and we can all talk about it together.
The next one is one I threw in the ring at the last minute because I thought it was a great book for go-kart tracks, and it's a thin book.
Yeah, it is.
I think I was able to read it on a train journey from Camberley to Birmingham, and back. So it's a 4-hour train, 4.5 hour train journey.
Now that's either because you're a really quick reader or it's a really small book. I don't know which it is yet.
It's quite a thin book. It's quite a thin book. Or maybe it was 2 trips. But anyway, this is called Tribes. We Need You to Lead Us by Seth
Godin.
I call him.
Well, I call it Godin.
I call it Godin.
Godin.
But a lot of people do. Or maybe that's just my Australian English and your
English.
Whatever you call it.
There's only one English, by the way, and I don't care how many Americans are listening, it's English. Now I've just lost half the audience, but that's cool.
But Tribes talk about building a group of very loyal followers. A group of raving fans.
I find it's got lots of levels. It's a really thin book, but it's got lots of levels to it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So Seth Godin is a really prolific author. I've heard his talks online, and I've got a lot of time for him. I struggle with your books a little bit, Seth. So I'm just going to put that out there. But I know people who swear blind by Seth Godin's books. Now, I would still read any book he produces. I'll read. Linchpin is one of his other books, and that's well worth your senior management team having a read. It enables your senior management team to understand what makes them invaluable in your business. So that's a really cool book for employees. But if you're the business owner, I'm suggesting Tribes, We Need You to Lead Us. So on one level, it's all about how Tribes is a really good idea to go and get people together. But on the other level, or this is what I got from it, on the other level, you've got a bunch of people that work for you who are crying out for you to lead them. Right? And nobody has to wait to be asked to be a leader. Right? So now it's fine if you have already got natural leadership ability and people are willing to follow you, but you should be hiring people that are better than you anyway. So if you get somebody who's a really strong leader comes along and all your staff start to follow, well, great if you're on the same page, but there's a real danger that they might not be. So this is why I say it's got levels.
That's very interesting that you say that, because I can, thinking about it, I can see that. I read that book.
Yeah. What did you get from it?
I read that book to grow something we were developing.
Okay.
So the Mechanics Academy we've got.
Yeah.
The following in the Mechanics Academy, the following for our newsletters, and the following for our spectacular.
Yeah.
I could see something developing there. So I read it and was looking for information on how to join all those things together and make it work and grow it. So I was looking at it to grow a bunch of raving fans, customers who know, love and trust us. And become more loyal and all of that sort of stuff. And I guess to be a leader for the go-kart industry.
Yeah.
Whereas you've read it and you've taken you've taken it from the leadership of an organisation.
Well, yeah, because I know Seth's very much about, I think, I'm putting words into his mouth about the leader of the business. So I'm looking at it going, what does this mean to a leader of a business? But I know when we first met, I was involved in a slightly different business. But we'd got a few hundred business owners were coming to us to come and get help and advice. But along the way, they were coming to a few events we ran. People would come up to us after the event and say really nice things because they used to come all the time. A couple of hundred people at a time would turn up and we'd go from the stage and talk about a few ideas. They go, oh, it's great. We love coming here because of this, this and this. And we love coming here because I got this nugget of information. And I love coming here because I found, and this is what they tell us. But what we never really said to them was, back in the office, we knew that they weren't right. If we ever thought we were the stars of that show, we got a problem. And the real thing that made 200 people turn up time and time again was because they all knew each other in the room. And there was all the little in-jokes and they all felt part of a tribe. So they turn up where they're going, this is great. I'm in a world where everybody understands each other and like we've discovered it and it's our little thing. Now they're telling us it's because they've had some great business information and we did do that. But like we never lost sight of the fact that it's got nothing to do with us. We could have just put a cardboard cutout on stage and stood back.
You also created your own language there, didn't you?
We did, yes. So that was, I've probably never said this, it's on video, we might as well go for it. And that was a conscious effort.
Yeah, I know.
Have I told you this?
I've
discussed it with you, yeah.
The whole planning of the spectacular, the first spectacular, you unloaded a lot of this on me.
There you go.
So you know, and you know, we're spending more time, you know, picking the menu and the venue than we are the speakers.
Oh yes. Now this is going to surprise a few people, but this is the sorts of stuff that Seth. Well, anyway, let's put Seth to one side. But if you're going to go and create your own tribe, it was more important about where people were and what the environment was. Yeah. So when they turn up, they go, wow. And it has to be a little bit aspirational. There's all these other things in there that just start to really work in your favour, and you get people going, this is nice. Oh, we're stopping over at the hotel. The beds were comfy. There's a really great person. Remember John at Hanbury Manor?
Oh yes.
See now, John at Hanbury Manor is a hotel we used to host some events in, and John is the guy that works at Hanbury Manor Hotel, and he is one of the best people you could ever have looking out for you and a group of your contacts, friends, whoever. He's so thoughtful and so on the ball. Everybody's going, he's lovely. Now we go back to that hotel all the time because John's there. So we know when we turn up, like we have to do less now. We just want the tribe to be their own tribe. And there's some of the clues on how we've done that are in this book. So once they become their own tribe, once the people at your track turn up, because the same people are turning up regularly and they're racing against the same people and all the jokes are in there and they've got their own language and they've got, you know, that your business is never going to struggle.
We digressed a bit there.
We did, it was useful though.
No. So, feels like we've been talking for about 12 years on books. So, don't ever get us talking on books.
You can see it's a passion for us.
I mean, we'll be here all day. But we can't do that. But if we have left off any books that you think should have been on the list, put them in the comments below. I'd like to hear what they're reading, and maybe we'll pick up a few new reads ourselves.
And if you want a book, here's a brave offer. Write to me. I'll send you a book. So if there's something that we've just mentioned on that list of 11 for this video and last, and you want a copy, write to me or leave me a message, and I will get a book out to you. Let's hope this doesn't go as bad as the Hoover offer for America and going bankrupt us overnight, or me specifically. But hey, if I go viral with that, I'll make headlines everywhere. I might write a book about it.
Cool. Oh, well, you know, if we get a few books off the list below, that'll be good for the plane ride to Michigan.
Absolutely.
Hopefully we'll see you there.
Hope so.
Anyway, it's Uru from me.
Cheerio from me.
And we'll see you next week.